No, because you really wanted to understand the biology of what's happening.
Oh,
right?
sure.
When you're in the chronic state.
Do you mind if I sit there?
Please sit in your chair. And when you're in the chronic, constant state of fight or flight, what you're firing off extrastellate nerve.
No. If you don't mind, let's talk about that. Yeah, good point. So the question is PTSI.
Okay, it gets it. Yeah.
And we'll share this with you.
Yeah.
You can use that too.
Yeah.
So the question is, what's PTSI and what's not? So when trauma happens, what are the trauma? Multiple little traumas, a lot big trauma, whatever, doesn't matter. So part of the brain is activated. It's called sympathetic system. So if you take the fluid around the brain, called CSF, it looks like the norepinephrine level is double. Like on a soldier with PTSI, it's double norepinephrine. So there's a lot of norepinephrine. It's like adrenaline brother, so to speak. So if the trauma is too much, it produces NGF, nerve growth factor, and has been shown in the rat model. So it shows that, turns out, it comes out in the brain and gets transmitted off to stellate ganglion and the sympathetic ganglion right here. Once it hits those, it produces sympathetic nerve fibers. So instead of, let's say, 5, now you got 10. Each one of those produces norepinephrine. So as long as that state persists, you're going to have PTSI symptoms. So if you think about almost getting hit by a bus, right? You're hyperventilating, you're looking around, all the symptoms. You can't sleep. It's all symptoms of PTSI. And as long as the NGF persists, that state persists. So that's why one trauma can last forever.
And sounds like when you have a trauma that's bad enough that it will just continue to grow and feed the PTSI until it just gets worse and worse.
You can, because then you have other things. Then you have social rejection, and you can't work, and you can do this, right? It's all feeding in the wrong direction. But what happens when we do stellate or DSR, two things happen. There's an immediate effect, which is norepinephrine level drops in about 10, 15 minutes. And you felt the difference 10, 15 minutes because it's like the drop happened immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Because norepinephrine in the fluid gets absorbed. But the secondary effect is NGF, nerve growth factor, gets deactivated.
Right.
So now going from 10 back to 5, so now you have a normal thing.
And the change in the nerve structure will take months?
It takes time. I don't know. I haven't. Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm trying to get, if I had access to studying, I would study.
Right.
It could be quick, because we've had, the longest outlier right now is 17 years, Special Forces from Peoria. So, you could see how but that's physiology. So I wrote a paper in 2009. People who are geeks can read it, and we're going to put it up. But that's kind of my current thinking. What happens? And if you think about it, if you are running from the tiger, it's adaptive, right? You're always looking around. You need extra sympathetics. So you're out of battle.
The susceptibility to the symptoms increase the more you've had traumatic experiences, the more you get triggered to traumatic experiences.
Right. Also, especially if you have childhood traumatic experience, it activates epigenetic change in your body. So now you're more sensitive.
That was one of my massive concerns, is that, so I've always found that a lot of people that I've worked with in the past, the alcoholics, the gambling addicts, the womanizers, the people who are
pornography addicts,
all these people, when you throw them into situations which are extremely stressful and extremely dangerous, typically they're more at home, and they typically respond very well.
Right.
Now, it was always my concern that, I mean, I'm still in a way, like I don't fight anymore, but I'm still a professional arm wrestler.
Right.
Where that ability to do well in chaotic times is an advantage.
Your question is, I'll tell you your question. I'll give you an answer.
Yeah.
The question is, am I going to become a wuss?
Yeah.
That's the question. About 3/4 of people ask that question.
Right.
My answer is shocking. I don't know why. It could be survival or lack of, right? Yeah. But think of it. Do you want to be frenetic? You want to be looking everywhere, or you want to be laser focused?
Yeah, laser. Well,
so obviously
for me,
you want to, for everyone. Well, everyone, you want to be laser focused. You don't want to be frenetic. You don't want to be looking around everywhere, right? You want to be paying attention, but within reason. But you don't want to be distracted. Is my point. Is that fair?
I'm not sure. I think, listen, the only reason why I say that is because there's a lot of strength in someone who's very
Situational awareness.
yes.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
Situational awareness is great. In fact, there was one study that looked at that, and still it improves that, does not decrease it. But I understand your question, because it could be life and death when you're in battle, right? So we've definitely had people, they say their function in the field is improved, not decreased.
That's fantastic.
So that's because you're focused. So they're situationally aware, but within reason. They're not, if you're looking everywhere, you shouldn't be looking. That's stupid. That's not going to help you.
The stress level is manageable.
Right. And we have people,
Appropriate.
police. Right, exactly. Think about it. So one of the things I want to do is treat the police people. Like, there is a lot of wrongful death suits because they see something out of corner eye and they shoot them. You want to be able to target, differentiate. Right. You don't want to kill civilians, kind of look, or your friends. It also looks kind of bad. Right. So my point is target differentiation. So that's what I mean, I guess. I didn't phrase it right. So if your target differentiation is improved, that's an advantage.